Deep in the remote wilderness, Parker Schnabel stumbled upon something extraordinary. An enormous rust-covered Trommel left to rot in the overgrowth. Was a ghost of the gold rush era. Towering 40 feet long steel machine over 6 ft in diameter. To most it looked like scrap, but to Parker it was something else entirely. What he found inside would go on to change the game, not just for him, but for the entire gold mining community. The Trommel was more than just a relic. It was a time capsule from a forgotten mining operation. The massive machines were once the backbone of high-volume gold processing. Built for brute strength and speed, they could churn through mountains of dirt. But back then, the technology lacked precision. Fine gold often slipped through the cracks, literally, and over time, that gold had built up inside the machine, waiting for someone to come looking. That someone turned out to be Parker. Covered in years of rust and grime, the Trommel had been hiding in plain sight, surrounded by collapsed wooden buildings and broken-down tools. Locals had long whispered stories about the site, a mining operation that shut down suddenly and mysteriously. Some claimed financial ruin, others hinted at disputes, but no one had touched the area in decades. As Parker scraped away the dirt and inspected the inside of the machine, he caught a glimpse of something shiny. Not just a sparkle, but a solid glint of gold. And the deeper he looked, the more he realized this wasn't just old machinery. This was a jackpot. Getting the Trommel out of the wilderness was no small task. The terrain was brutal, and the machine was massive. Parker's crew brought in heavy equipment, cranes, trucks, and an experienced team to carefully extract and transport it without causing irreversible damage. Once back at camp, the real work began. The Trommel was in terrible condition. Entire sections were rusted through, gears were jammed, and screens were torn apart. But Parker wasn't interested in just patching it up. He wanted to make it better than before. Piece by piece, the team disassembled the Trommel. Every bolt, every panel was inspected, cleaned, or replaced. They modernized it with updated hydraulics, reinforced steel, and new gold-catching screens. It was a delicate blend of old school craftsmanship and cutting-edge mining tech. While the repairs were underway, the team tested the soil around where the Trommel had been. Thus, when things got even crazier, the dirt wasn't just decent, it was packed with gold, some of the richest Parker had ever seen. It was clear now. The forgotten site was sitting on a gold reserve that had gone completely untouched for decades. With the Trommel finally restored, Parker fired it up for the first time. The massive drum spun effortlessly, separating rock from dirt with precision. As the machine worked, gold began pouring out. Nuggets, flakes, and fine dust. Day after day, the recovery rates were off the charts. The gold output quickly soared into the millions. But perhaps the most astonishing part, the discovery didn't end there. While restoring the Trommel, Parker's team found old maps and records tucked inside nearby structures, pointing to a network of abandoned sites that had once fed into this same operation. It was like uncovering a treasure map. The Trommel wasn't just a machine. It was a key to a much bigger system, one that could lead to even more hidden gold. Each site marked on those old documents had potential. Suddenly, this wasn't just about a machine. It was the start of a brand new gold rush. journey became more than just a mining. Every part of that trommel told a story. The rusted bolts, the dented frame, it all carried the hopes and hard labor of the miners who came before. But bringing it back to life, Parker wasn't just chasing profit. He was honoring a forgotten legacy. That machine had once served a generation of dreamers who staked everything on finding fortune in the dirt. And now it was running again, stronger than ever. In the end, Parker and his team had recovered a staggering amount of gold worth hundreds of millions. But beyond the money, they had proven something much bigger. That sometimes the greatest treasures aren't buried deep underground. Sometimes they're hiding in plain sight in the ruins, in the rust, in the remnants left behind by those who came before. Parker's discovery reignited interest across the mining world. Other miners began to ask themselves, how many more forgotten machines are still out there, filled with untapped gold just waiting to be rediscovered? Restoring the Trommel wasn't just about gold. It changed the way people thought about mining. Parker had shown that by combining the strength of old engineering with the precision of modern technology, it was possible to work smarter, extract more, and do it with greater care for the environment. Set a new example, one that valued innovation, sustainability, and respect for history. So what started as a broken down husk in the woods became a symbol of perseverance, vision, and rediscovery. Parker didn't just find gold. He unearthed a forgotten chapter of gold rush history and gave it a second life. And who knows, maybe the next great discovery isn't out in some untouched land. Maybe it's hiding in the rusted gears of the past, just waiting for someone with the vision to bring it back to